Hello everybody, this is Gary here bringing you SpongeBob Worst to Best Season 3 episodes. Let's get started. Remember to sub. Number 37 is The Sponge Who Could Fly. This episode is the worst because the patchy segments are just plain filler. They are not enjoyable. It's obvious filler. And the actual episode itself doesn't feel like the last episode. It feels like a terrible episode because the townspeople don't treat SpongeBob fairly. First, they say he should give up on his dreams, then they abuse him with his flying powers. Yeah, that's why this episode is at the bottom. Also, it does not need to be a special, nor does it need to be an episode. Number 36, The Great Snail Race. I don't like the way SpongeBob treats Gary in this episode. And I don't think he's treated fairly. Like he pushes Gary, and then when he's like about to die, he still pushes him. So yeah, but in the end, the ending was funny. Number 35, Party Pooper Pants. This episode, the first half was boring. The second half, they just arrested SpongeBob for not inviting him to his party. That was pretty stupid. This episode is just boring and doesn't need to be a special Norn episode. But I do like the song. I guess that's what makes it the special. Number 34, Club SpongeBob. This episode is just Squidward torture. That's all it really is. Like, this is the season 3 version. Uh, Squidward was right to not listen to the conch because he knows not to do nothing. But of course, SpongeBob and Patrick get it all right. Number 33, Krabby Land. Mr. Krabs in this episode is selfish. Like, he says SpongeBob's the selfish one because he's not going out there and entertaining the kids after he's been in a bunch of pain. But Mr. Krabs doesn't care. And then when he comes, he barely is there. And he does deserve what he gets in the end. So, yeah. Number 32. This episode is boring. Like, boring. The only reason it's not like boring, completely boring is the patchy segments in the song. But other than that, it's plain boring. Number 31, New Student Starfish. This one's a meh because I like the jokes in this one and I do think some parts are good, but honestly, I don't like the way Patrick treated SpongeBob, and SpongeBob like was accused when Mrs. Puff came. I didn't like those parts. Number 30, Born Again KRABS. This episode, like, it's the high meh because it's not, like, the jokes are good, but other than that, it's just a boring episode. Number 29, Clams. This episode is the lowest good because I do like some of, like, the parts, but the part I don't like, which makes it, like, at the bottom of the good, is where Mr. Krabs sacrifices SpongeBob and Patrick just to get $1. Number 28, Nasty Patty. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me, but I'm not the biggest fan of dark humor. I still like this episode. I think it's really good, but it's just not my type of episode. Number 27, My Pretty Seahorse. I like the chemistry between SpongeBob and Mystery, and the jokes were pretty good, but other than that, it was an alright episode. I mean, the plot was fine, it's good, but like not good as the other episodes on this list. Number 26, SpongeBob on Duty. The first half was it was pretty forgettable. The second half I like the second half a lot, especially the jokes and SpongeBob. Yeah. Number 25, Pranks a Lot. This episode is higher than the other goods just because like the other goods had their downsides, but this one doesn't really have a downside. It does kind of get like for like a few seconds, but other than that, it makes it a pretty good episode. The jokes are solid, and SpongeBob and Patrick deserve what they get in the end. So yeah. Number 24, SpongeBob meets the Strangler. Um, this episode I do like because the Strangler, like, he tries to strangle SpongeBob, but he ends up, like, not wanting to get away from he ends up wanting to get away from SpongeBob because SpongeBob is a nuisance in this episode, kind of, even though it kind of is funny, and by kind of, and I mean it is funny. Number 23, Doing Time. This episode, like, it's a good because the first part of the plot, but like the ending, it's just weird to me. Like, it's just odd. But like the first part, like before the ending, was good. I like how Mrs. Puff is like liking Present, but SpongeBob and Patrick don't get it. Number 22, Plankton's Army. Honestly, this episode isn't that high because like it's not as entertaining as the other ones, but it's still entertaining, which all that matters. This episode is funny, especially like the parts where Plankton try and his a million bajillion cousins tried to steal the formula. Yeah. Number 21, Just One Bite. The reason why this episode is this low is because Squidward exploded, but other than that, I like this episode. I think it's funny how Squidward thought he would never like a Krabby Patty, but he ended up obsessed with it. So, yeah. Number 20, Squilliam Returns. Honestly, like, Squidward actually felt good for once, which is good, but then SpongeBob forgot his name. But other than that, I do think this is a funny episode, and, yeah. Number 19, One Crab's Trash. Honestly, this episode, like, the jokes carry it. The episode's plot is alright, but the jokes are too funny to put it any lower. Number 18, Snowball Effect. This episode, it's funny, and yeah, that's all I could say. I mean, I do like Squidward's childish side and stuff. Number 17, As Seen on TV. SpongeBob in this episode is just so funny, especially the striped sweater song. And I do like how in the end he ends up cooking patties, but not in the way he thinks. Number 16, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 4. This is the worst Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode of this list, but that doesn't mean it's still not bad. I do like the jokes in this one, like Wumbo and stuff like that, and like how SpongeBob learned his lesson. But other than that, it's good. Number 15, Can You Spare a Dime? I like this episode, like, not as much as other people because Squidward kind of drags it down, but other than that, I do think this is funny and how Mr. Krabs did this all for a prehistoric dime. Number 14, Rockabye Bye Val. This episode is just cute how SpongeBob and Patrick take care of a little baby um, scallop, I think it was. Yeah, I do like this episode because of that. I mean, the jokes are pretty good too, and the Patrick working part's pretty funny. Number 13, Idiot Box. Now, a lot of people will disagree with me for putting this episode this low, but like, I just like the other episodes before it. But this episode is fantastic. It's funny, it's creative, it's like a lot of things. And Squidward ending up in the dump after pretending he's in a race car was funny. Number 12, I Had an Accident. The episode's ending was pretty weird but good at the same time. And like SpongeBob thinking after he breaks his butt, he has to be extra careful, but like he can't hang out with anyone anymore. And instead, he hangs out with the best singing trio ever. And by trio, I mean Penny. But other than that, this episode is good. I mean, it's good. 11. The algae's always greener. This episode, like, I think it's a cool concept, and it's definitely a good episode. I like how Plankton and Mr. Krabs swapped lives. I think it was an interesting idea, and I thought it was funny too. The jokes were good. Number 10, Missing Identity. This episode, like, it's funny because, like, SpongeBob tells the way he lost his identity, but he ended up just losing his name tag. Not even losing, but this episode was funny. I do like the plot too, and Patrick was amazing. Number 9, Midlife Crustacean. Like it like season 3, all the good episodes are like the same way to describe it, and that's really the same thing with these episodes coming up. I like Midlife Crustacean because the jokes were funny and that. Number 8, Wet Painters. The jokes in this one were hilarious. SpongeBob and Patrick trying to get Mr. Krabs not to see his first dollar was good. And I think that this episode was all around one of the funniest episodes ever. Number 7, The Bully. Um, this episode, I do like the episode because SpongeBob's scared of the bully, but in the end, he's actually immune to the bully. And I thought it was funny how, like, after all of that, like, the jokes were pretty good too. Number 6, Crab Org. I think this episode is hilarious because like the part where Squidward and SpongeBob like interview Mr. Krabs to see if he's a robot is hilarious. And I think SpongeBob and Squidward working together to see if he's a robot was also pretty cool. I mean, funny. Number 5, No Weenies Allowed. This episode reaches the top 5 because the humor in this one is hilarious. And I also like how SpongeBob tries to get into it, but they tell him to go into Weenie Hut Jr. Um, no, not Weenie Hut Juniors, Super Weenie Hut Juniors. But yeah, I do like this episode. Number 4, Mermaid Man and Barnacle 5. This is the best Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episode in general. I like the idea of Barnacle Boy turning evil and how he wants to be treated with more respect. And I think this episode was funny. And I like how SpongeBob and friends turned into actually the superheroes. I do like that idea. That's the reason why it's up here. Number 3, the camping episode. The campfire song is amazing. This episode is funny, and Squidward like not trusting SpongeBob is funny, and then in the end, yeah. Number 2, chocolate with nuts. The humor in this one just pulls it. I do like the plot too, and the guy that pretended to do all that breaking stuff, he was despicable. And the idea was pretty funny too. Number 1, Krusty Krab training video. No one's surprised this one's number 1. I like the concept is just amazing. It's the animation is great. The um, jokes are hilarious. There's not really a plot because it's just a training video, but that doesn't mean it's the best episode of SpongeBob Season 3. Now on to the statistics. There were 5 bad, 3 meh, and 37 good. Wait, 37 good? Oh, that was an error. I meant not 37 good. That would be the entire season. There was 20. Wait. Yeah, there was 21 good. So this makes it a good season. Don't mind the thing that says 37. It's meant to say 21. This is the ranking season 3, season 2, and season 1. And I hope you enjoyed this unscripted SpongeBob worst to best season 3 episodes. I'll see you guys later. Bye.